Hello everyone and welcome to the Architectural Design Technology video. My name is Jessa Tracy and I am the marketing manager here at Digital School. We are extremely excited and happy to have one of our amazing instructors, Brandon, here with us. He'll introduce himself in just a moment. I just want to run through a couple housekeeping things for this. We're going to be going through this awesome program for you guys today and just answering some of the kind of frequently asked questions or things that we think you guys would be really interested to know as new or enrolling students to digital school. And so you can kind of see which program is right for you. So yeah, we're going to be going through just kind of an overview of the layout of the program, what's all included. We're going to be looking at some really amazing student projects, some student work from digital school in this program. So you guys can kind of see what you would be doing and what you will be doing, hopefully. And yeah, Brandon's just going to give us a really great rundown today. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Great. Thanks for having me, Jessa. This is a great opportunity. So I'm Brandon Heurter. I'm an architectural technologist and an instructor with Digital School. I've been with Digital School for 10 to 12 years now. So I'm responsible for the BIM technician program, the architectural portions of the architectural design technologist program, as well as some portions of the engineering design technologist program.
That's awesome. So much experience. We're so happy to have you to kind of explain this course to us and this program to us so we can understand it a little better. I know I'm going to learn a lot. I've been learning a lot in all of these, which is great. So sit back, buckle up. It's going to be a good one. If you do have any additional questions that you feel like we don't touch on, or you want more clarification, or maybe you just want it reiterated to you, that's totally fine. We have really amazing admissions advisors that can talk through all that stuff with you. At the top of the screen and at the very bottom, you'll notice buttons to book a meeting and chat about it more, or you can request information as well. And they are more than happy to send all that information right to you and explain this stuff again. But also, we're very aware of the opportunity to speak with one of the actual instructors about it. So I am just going to get into a few of these questions that are kind of what we've noticed are really frequently asked when looking at these programs. So firstly, Brandon, I know that some of our programs have different lengths. Can you tell us a little bit maybe about the length of this program?
Yeah, absolutely. So the architectural design technology program is 12 months, 1 year in length. And so this program kind of builds off of, it's a diploma program, and it builds off of our BIM technician program. So the BIM technician program is 6 months, and it's basically all of our fundamentals. And from there, once you get an idea about the different disciplines and the workings of the industry, then you can go off into either one of our diploma programs, whether that's the architectural design technology or engineering design technology. So this one is, yeah, like I said, 12 months in duration, yeah. And because of our, because of our teaching style and our virtual campus, I think you could get it done earlier if you have the time. We do have students that were able to do that. That's definitely a possibility.
Mm-hmm. That is a pro to kind of more of an online education experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, that's perfect. So I guess what can students expect for the layout of the program? I know you kind of talked about how the BIM technician program goes first. Can you complete those at the same time, or is that always something that's first? I guess, or
yeah, good question. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the BIM technician really does come first, and that's because that's where you learn, again, a lot of the fundamentals, right? The fundamentals of drawing and the fundamentals of software, and you do have to learn these basic skills before we can launch you into something more involved and more intense and get you into a specific discipline. So yeah, the BIM technician kind of gives you exposure into 2 disciplines, architecture and engineering, and then you can make a choice and you can go architecture, which is more fairly specific to houses and buildings and regulations and for buildings and land and whatnot. So that's how it's laid out. It's laid out as a kind of a traditional sort of synchronous sort of style, but we have a hybrid component, kind of a hybrid where there's a virtual campus and students can go at their own pace, but they also have study groups and there are live demonstrations with myself and Antonio. And we are available at all times. So there's a bit of both. Like I said, it's a hybrid. So there are live lectures, live demonstrations, where we meet with students one-on-one as well as in a group, and as well as students are working on their own, progressing on their own at their own pace, where they consult with us to get more information about their assignments.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Thanks for explaining that. So I guess more specifically, what are students really learning in this program? Like, what is it comprised of, project-wise, software-wise, programs-wise?
So once they get into the second portion, like the later 6 months of the 1-year program, whether it's architectural engineering, but specifically in the architectural design, this is where everything is applied, right? This is the application, right? So taking what you've learned in the first 6 months and really applying that. So your knowledge of you using that software, right? So whether it's AutoCAD or Revit, that's where we're saying, okay, now here's the project and here's how we're going to use this software specifically for this application, and things you need to be concerned with and how all of that works. So go through everything from 2D drawings. I still do drawings in AutoCAD myself, and as well as in Revit. So it's still an important process. A lot of people are always hung up on 3D now, but there's still a place for 2D drawings. So everything from 2D drawings and AutoCAD to building, constructing a building in 3D in Revit, and there's also courses that teach other fundamentals like building science. We go through and we do estimating. So estimating helps, like, even if, a lot of students are like, well, I don't want to be an estimator. Well, even if you don't want to be an estimator, that's fine. You still need to know how to quantify components of an assembly, analyze and synthesize like what you're doing. It's not just the graphical aspect of it. So you still have to do reports and research, still necessary, but there is the graphical component, and a lot of people like the graphics, and some people are more analytical and they like the data. So there's a little bit for everybody in here, really.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing that you can learn all that stuff in 12 months.
Yeah.
Sounds like I'm like, whoa, crazy.
Yeah.
That's great. So then primarily for softwares, you're saying it's Revit and AutoCAD?
Yeah,
Okay.
primarily Revit and AutoCAD, different components of AutoCAD. So you can use the 3D environment in AutoCAD, and you can use the 2D environments in AutoCAD. And then within Revit, I mean, there's so much you can do. There's the architectural discipline, which is mainly what I have my students use. We developed this like a restaurant, so kind of a commercial building, and then we use the architectural features, and we use the structural features, and then with Antonio, they get into using the mechanical systems, like plumbing systems and whatnot. So within Revit, there's a lot of different disciplines that can be explored, and so those are the primary software, as well as like the Microsoft Office suite. That's just expected, right? If you're going to do a report, you can use that. You can do a presentation, or in estimating, you use Excel. These things are kind of standard along the way, but and it kind of leaves it open to the student. They need to make a decision, make a choice, analyze, think about the the series of steps that is required to get to the end result. What is the end result and how do I get there? And then what is the best tool to get there? Because these are the types of decisions you need to make on your own when you're in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Love to hear that. Perfect. Yeah, that's really interesting. I know that sounds yeah, like you were saying, a great partnership between this program and the BIM technician program where you're learning how to use those. I guess you're right, like the kind of fundamentals, I guess. And then applying them in this program, which is really great. So once someone completes this program, where can they kind of expect to go with it? What job opportunities, or where do you kind of see students working afterwards?
That's a good question. So we've had students enter the workforce in a number of different areas because they have such, I guess, a broad knowledge, starting off with the BIM technician and going specifically into architectural. We've had students that I have a student who's a landscape designer, right? He's working for a landscaping company here in Edmonton, and he's responsible for going to the sites and providing all the quotes, and he's doing all the estimating as well as the design of landscape. And that's just because he had a background in landscape before coming to digital school, and then we gave him a lot of the tools to create the drawings and do the estimating. And so he really is now adding to his company. So we have cases like that. We have cases where we have a student who is a BIM technician, so taking 2D drawings and working with clients and developing 3D models, 3D environments. And we have students who are doing drawings in AutoCAD and other 2D drafting software, working for home builders, working for various contractors, curtain wall contractors, involved in even manufacturing. So it really depends. We have a lot of students who already have, I guess, some experience in the industry and already interested in one portion of the industry, and they may already be working. And so then this allows them to get into a different department in the company they're already working in, or some students are brand new and they're wondering, well, where do I go? What's the best place for me to go? But as an architectural technologist, like, you would be expected to take designs from an architect or another designer and really translate those and make it into something tangible. So drawing from I guess based on like preliminary drawings or sketches or ideas, and putting that on paper and making it so that it's constructible.
Mm-hmm. As an aside, I even know, I'm not sure that it was from this program, but I know that our sister company, Global ETraining, which is an AEC training company, has hired digital school graduates as well in the past, which is also a really cool kind of place. I think that, you know, kind of the more I talk to you guys, the more I see that there's so many different kind of areas you can go into with this kind of experience from digital school, which is just really great and really cool. And you're right, like, if you have experience before or interest before, you can really use this education in a lot of different aspects in a lot of different areas, which is great
No,
to see.
you're right. Good point. Yeah, so you could even become a software expert, right? So you could go into course development, right? So once you learn the software and you learn how it applies in a specific discipline, then you can be an expert and you get into course development, for example. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Good point.
Awesome. So I guess now I think that we're going to look at maybe some of the projects that have come out of our awesome digital school students, specifically within this program, which is really fun. So just bear with me
Great.
while
I look forward to it.
Okay. Perfect. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Awesome. I'm glad, because this is an amazing thing to look at. Do you mind, when we're going through these, if you can just kind of maybe explain what we're looking at a little bit for those of us that don't?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're looking at here, this is a famous piece of architecture. Some may recognize it, some if not, I mean, that's fine. This is in from presentation drawings. And so what the students really do here is they learn about, I guess, rendering. They take and they build, I guess, a piece of architecture, collecting resources, whether it's two-dimensional resources, gathering information from various sources. So you can get information about the site from Google Maps, you can research and find floor plans, but at the end of the day, it's you're required to create a rendered perspective to really showcase this piece of architecture in various ways, and that's what's been done here. So this is the Ames house, and so we can see that it's quite realistic, right? You can see the environment, the trees, you get a close-up of from the outside, kind of showcasing the environment, how the building sits in the environment. And so this is a form of a communication. So what this student has done here is really, really remarkable.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Beautiful to look at. Perfect. Next here. Wow.
So yeah, this is the same project, just a different perspective. So this is a really nice photo because what it's doing is it's showing the building in the environment, how it relates to the environment, and then we can see the interaction of the people inside. They're going about their day-to-day. So this is part of the presentation drawings course, and that's one of Antonio's courses. And so yeah, they create various presentation drawings, so rendered drawings, and this is more realism, but they go through everything from sketching and applying colors and textures and patterns, and then at the end, this is the final project. They come up with something that incorporates all of that. So really well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are beautiful. Oops.
Okay, what we have here, this is a nice project. This is a research project. So you get to do some research. Some people really enjoy doing research. It's an opportunity to learn. And all of our students recognize that research is an integral part of being in this industry, right? And if you're going to be, I guess, working on your own, being an independent, then research is important. So this is a site analysis is what this is. And so throughout, and this is for the course land use regulations. So we talk about how land is used, the regulations that are imposed on development, right? Because I mean, before land can be developed, you need to understand, you know, the constraints, right? And so we go through all that, and this is the final project where they can research a site. And I always recommend that it's a local site so that they can go and visit it, right? Because it's more than just viewing it on a map. I want them to get a sense of it. What are the senses? What are the perceptions that are gained from visiting the site? And so then they take all that information and they collect it, and they're to put into a report, right? And so this student put it into more of a PowerPoint sort of format, but it's still a report. So reporting on all the different aspects of the site, obviously based on what's available to you. So, and that's another thing, is you really have to pick a site that has information available. So Noor did an excellent job here, and this is for the CN Tower downtown Edmonton. So she touched on a bit of the history, the significance of this project, you know, where it's located, the immediate, I guess, vicinity, how it's zoned, the adjacencies, what are the adjacent land uses, the connection between this site and how it relates to, I guess, the overall, the downtown course. This is really well done. You can see that it's even going into, she did a shadow study, so how the sun path affects, you know, the impact that it has on that site throughout different times of the year. You know, she's showing the winter and summer. So just from viewing this, if we weren't familiar with the site whatsoever, we would have a really good understanding of the uses, the surroundings, the connection, the textures, the environment overall. So this is a really well done example.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't even know studying the shadows was a thing.
Right,
Um,
right.
but there are so many parts of it. Even just looking at this, you can see that is relevant to kind of studying a site, which yeah, I would not have known. That's amazing.
Yeah, really nice.
Perfect.
Perfect. So this is for that same course, land use, again, where we look at the various uses of land. And so what this is this is a neighborhood land use plan. So what students do is they analyze a neighborhood, and I usually recommend a neighborhood that they are familiar with, because what's better than analyzing something that a neighborhood that you currently live in or that you're familiar with. And so that's what's been done here. So based on gathering information from various sources, we're really looking at here the zoning in particular. The zoning, understanding zoning and zoning requirements is a huge part of what we do. And so what the student has done is they highlighted the neighborhood, and in this case, it's Tamarack Common, and they identified the various land use zones. So looking at the different patterns, they used what's nice about this is that it's not solid colors, right? It's some patterns as well as some colors. So from this, we get a really the student paints an overall picture of the different land uses within this neighborhood. We can see there's various types of residential, so some smaller residential, semi-detached, there's row housing, so various types of, I guess, various types there, and just other uses. And so it kind of shows land use within in a neighborhood. So that's one of the assignments, the land use neighborhood plan. Really
As an
nicely done.
aside, maybe kind of just a question because it's interesting.
Sure.
So for the different sections, does it need to be a specific color or pattern? Like, is there kind of industry things that everyone uses that like always agricultural zones look like this when you're drawing it out this way?
No,
Or
that's a good question. And no, each student, they have the flexibility to display it however they want. And then again, that's part of communication, right? It's a student's job to communicate to myself. Like, and I have no knowledge of, for example, this neighborhood, what the zoning is. So that's what the assignment is about, communicating to somebody who really knows nothing about this neighborhood, how the land is used. And so about the patterns and the colors, that's why they have the legends. So it may not be industry standard, and so that's why they have that legend there to communicate. So then I'm reading this and I'm saying, okay, well, I can see this area is smaller residential lots, and I can see this area is row housing. So no, not necessarily industry standard, but that's all part of communication. So I think this was fairly effective at communicating to
it's great.
yeah,
It's kind of
absolutely.
cool looking at the different colors and patterns they use to, like, you can see what they were trying to get across with it, which is
Right.
really awesome. What a great project. Nice.
Okay, so this so this is a restaurant that we build using Revit, and so this builds off of the fundamentals that the students learn in the earlier program, where you take the Revit Essentials course. And so from that, you learn about the various architectural components. And then in this program, we use that knowledge and we build this particular restaurant. And so that's everything from the foundation, so the structural components like the piles, the pile caps, grade beams, the slabs, everything to the superstructure, and talking about, we put columns and trusses and beams, and then we build the skeleton of it, and then we work on the outside, the architectural aspects. So you can see the concrete wall base, the various wall types, the roof, the parapets. So a lot of detail goes into this project. And so what Juan has done here is he has gone above and beyond. He created some of the environment. He took some, made some different material choices, and has shown us his work here by providing, I guess, an exterior perspective of this. So this is one of our projects in architectural drawing and details too. It's quite an involved project, but the students really enjoy it because it's a really challenging project, and it touches on a lot of different aspects of the software that you didn't think were possible.
Mm-hmm. Once again, this just is so amazing that you can learn to do this in a year. I can't even. I
Well,
would know where to start.
it's dedication, right? It's a full-time
Yeah.
dedication on the students' parts, and I mean, we're here to guide them through that process. I mean, I've probably built this restaurant myself with students a dozen times, so every time it's always a learning opportunity for myself as well.
Yeah, that's wild to me, but it's great. It's awesome. I think this is our last one for the student work.
Okay, great. So this was done by Jason. So what this is this part of the building code course. We have a course, Applied Building Code, and so this is one of the less interesting courses for some people, but for me, I love it, right? People, a lot of times the students ask me, like, how come you always get the less interesting courses? But for me, I really enjoy building code and regulation, because it's really the foundation. It's really the constraint of what we do, right? You cannot design or work in development unless you know these regulations. So, and so what I tried to do is I tried to take regulations and make it more interesting. How do you make regulations interesting, really? So what I did is, this assignment, they're required to design an accessible washroom. So accessibility is an important part of, I guess, architecture, whether it's public or private. And so what they do here is they design an accessible washroom. And so they have to follow the various guidelines. So it's not just local codes, there are other regulations that apply here. And so I set the scope. Here's the approximate area that you have. You know, this is the size and the occupancy, and here are the fixtures that we need. So it's really a problem for them, and there's no graphics. I don't give them any graphics. It's just a series of points on a page, and they have to understand that, do some research. And so what Jason has done here, he's showing 2 washrooms, the various components, the locations, and he's also listed the specifications and identified all the different components, like the grab bars, the privacy screens, the various fixtures inside of it. So and this was done, Jason did this in Revit, and so some students will build it in AutoCAD, some will build it in Revit. Again, it's completely up to them. They have to make that choice, and then whatever choice they make, they have to see it through. And so really well done.
That's awesome. Perfect. Well, yeah, like I said, I think that was our last one for those. But thank you for kind of walking us through them and giving us a little bit more information about what we're seeing, because I think for like the layman like myself, it is beautiful, but I also don't know.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks for coming and explaining this course to us and letting us in on kind of the details and what it would look like when all of our viewers enroll or are checking it out. So thank you so much for joining us. For everyone watching, just a couple reminders. Like I said, if you do have any more questions or need some clarification, or maybe you want to see some of the student work up close, you can kind of look at what you would be doing. That's all more than fine. We're happy to share and let you know more about what we do and more about these courses, and more than happy to help you get started our amazing admissions advisors will walk you through the whole process. I would love to meet and talk with you. So thank you so much for coming to our open house and watching this specific program overview. And thank you for coming, Brandon.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Have a great day, everybody.